some change. 2 weeks.
Been 2.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm expecting you to have something.
Sure.
Yeah, literally anything to talk about. Like how your week went. Like, did you do anything?
I am on call for work, so yeah, it went pretty crazy. Yesterday was my tribal nation's election year, so I had to work and do technical support for the people who run the election. So like set up everything they need, and I ran a live stream with them. So I had to figure out how to do cameras and what learn how to do cameras with the people that are helping me out, and also run a live stream, which is pretty cool. So I was kind of a director for like 6 hours. So I was there from 8 in the morning till midnight last night. So that was pretty fun.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's fucking crazy. I would have quit halfway through. I'd have been like, you know what? I don't know if this is all worth it.
And like it was funny too because there's like all this drama going on with like the elections this year, and like people were disqualified, talk about revolutionizing and shit, to the point where they got threats and like while I was there that people were gonna steal or do something to the election board and or steal the ballot, so they had to have police on scene if anything went down. That's pretty crazy. Really, really showed our U.S. part there.
You almost had your own January 6th.
We did, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. During the week, I didn't really do much besides go to Phoenix like I usually do to work, help out the people that we have out there. The weekend before, I saw Evil Dead Rise with Erica, so that was pretty cool. Loved it, pretty good. But yeah, that's pretty much like the most I've done in the last 2 weeks. Other than that, it's just been chilling.
So true. We do be doing that quite a
Be
lot
chilling.
around here. That's cool. How is Evil Dead Rise? I keep seeing the trailer for it, and I'm like half in it and half like really not. Like the first 10 seconds of the trailer, I'm like, okay, this looks really cool, and then it gets towards the end, and I'm like, this is not a real movie.
It was pretty cool. I like the Evil Dead franchise as a whole. So the original 3 movies were great, part of the childhood. Then you had the reboot in 2013. That one was really cool. With like it had like updated special effects. But I think they used mostly practical, mad gory. A lot of people were mad that Bruce wasn't in there. So, and then the show Ash versus Evil Dead, I watched the whole thing. Good nostalgic vibes, and this one was a little different but the same as well. It instead of a cabin in the woods or following the main story, it takes place in LA, or everything goes to hell. And
So true. Probably like the worst place on earth.
yeah. But the only thing I didn't like was that they changed. I don't know if they changed it. I haven't really got past that part, but the origins of the Necromonicons. So instead of it just having like otherworldly, people, researchers found it has like this religious background, which I don't like. I don't know why they have to make every scary movie have some kind of religious background. And but I didn't care for it. I know a lot of it's kind of like the where we're going, but of course they had to have some social justice in there, and the kids are, like I think the setup the night before they're going to get ready to go to this rally, this protest or something, and then everything goes to shit. It's good use of practical effects, good use of gore, good use of honestly a good use of horror tropes that happen in the movie that done really well. Also, the ending was kind of 50-50 for me because it just turns into a non-interesting body horror movie. So yeah, that's just me though. all you other people. But other than that, it was good. I liked it. I really liked it. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a good fun time.
That's good. I'm I don't know. I might see it if it's still in theaters in a month and a half. Then I'll see it. If not, then I'll just go watch
Barbie.
Oppenheimer and Barbie. Yeah. Well, that's cool. I know you didn't ask, but I.
Oh shit! What'd you do?
No, it's fine. What did I do? Not a lot. I was sick. It was pretty cool. I had like a stomach flu or something. I don't know where it came from. Yeah, I was done with that for a while. Prior to that same week, when taxes were due, I was stressing because I didn't finish my taxes until the last day.
Oh, I did that before.
Must be nice. Fuck, what else? I don't know. It was honestly like, it's been such a blur because I've either been like kind of depressed or I've just like not been paying attention to anything that's going on.
Why are you depressed, Brandon?
We're gonna get, you know what? We're gonna get into that. This is what that episode, or what this episode's all about. Not me being depressed, because I'm not anymore, but we'll get into it.
The woes of being Brandon?
No, it's not even gonna be about me. Honestly, I'm gonna be asking you a lot of questions.
Oh, shit. Alright.
Yeah.
The woes of being Rene.
But yeah, what else? I don't know. I saw my friend on Friday. That was really cool. We went to the beach. That was like a bad idea because it was really cold. But it was a good idea at the beginning of the week because it was really hot. But then on Friday, the fucking clouds started rolling in. So kind of an L idea on my part, but
Oh, it was your idea too, Tough.
it was because I've wanted to go to the beach for a while now. Because I don't know, I'm just, I'm so sick of the winter.
The woods.
That now I'm super into summer mode.
Yeah.
And it's been getting hot over here in Santa Cruz, except for this last Friday. And like this whole next week is supposed to be in the fucking 60s, when last week we were getting like 70, 80. So yeah, pretty not chill about all that. But then we just watched Game of Thrones. That's so honestly, it all worked out. What else? That was really it. I've been reading a book, which we're gonna get into.
Let's go.
That's where all this stems from. Is the book that I was reading. For my sociology of emotions class. That's been pretty good. I started it on Friday and I'm like halfway done with it already. Do be grinding through that. It's like a 300-page book.
Growing up. Let's go.
So true. I'm getting really into basketball.
Yeah? Now you're getting back into basketball?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot I had a whole thing a couple years ago. It's always when like the Lakers are doing well is when I get into my moods. If it's any other team, I don't really care that much, but if it's the Lakers, then like I'm a basketball fan for the playoffs. But they're in the semifinals now, or like the conference semifinals, which is like the quarterfinals. And then I was also kind of rooting for the Sacramento Kings, but I think they just got eliminated today. I think, or they're getting eliminated right now.
Oh,
they're playing the Warriors, and it's not going well. Yeah, they lost. Okay, kind of. Wait, did they? Yeah, they lost. Kind of an L, but that's okay. They'll be back next year. Been watching baseball. The Dodgers are like such a mid team right now.
baseball.
It's kind of disappointing, but everybody in the division is mid, so we'll get back there, back to the promised land eventually. And yeah,
Cool, man.
that's it. That's my week, I think. If I think of anything else while I'm asking you very important life-altering questions, then I'll throw it in there.
For sure.
Just like while you're crying, I'll be like, oh yeah, I also
While I'm
like...
crying, I don't cry.
We'll see. I have some good questions.
Do you cry?
Oh, I made more friends.
Nice.
At school
Let's
now.
go.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
We love making friends sometimes.
Yeah, they're all very nice people. Well, they're both very nice people. Yeah, that's kind of it. I don't know. We
party?
Talked a few times. Party? No. But
sounds
one
like
of
a
them
bunch
can
of
get me.
lames.
One of them could get me drugs.
Oh, nice. Never mind. They
So-
sound cool as fuck.
So that's honestly all I'm. Oh fuck! You know what I just remembered?
What?
So apparently my mom and my aunt know about the podcast now. I don't know how. I don't know who told them. All I know is my sister texted me and she said, and I quote, "Lol, Mom and Chris found out about your podcast," and then did the emoji with the see no evil monkey.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm a little, I don't know. I haven't been contacted about it. But I know the first time I see my mom, she's gonna be like, "So, I heard you have a podcast with your friend. I've been listening." Then I'm gonna have to like try to remember everything that I've said.
Honestly,
But
same.
it's-
I know my mom listens to this.
Yeah, she hasn't like brought it up at all.
No.
Well, let's hope my mom follows suit. Okay, let's get into it.
Let's
So
dive into it. Yeah. Let's get it.
yeah, so this book I've been reading,
Uh-huh.
it's called Daring Greatly.
Okay.
How the Courage to be Vulnerable Transforms the Way We Live, Love, Parent, and Lead
Oh.
by Rene Brown.
Oh.
PhD, by the way.
Let's go.
Master's in Social Work, by the way.
We love those 3 letters.
And I'm only halfway through the book, so
Mm-hmm.
I can't call myself an expert yet. But basically the book talks all about vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
Basically the introduction was kind of like, so there's a whole bunch of old people these days, or it's not even old people, it's kind of like everybody thinks that everybody else is a narcissist. Everybody's like so out for themselves. They think the world should be handed to them, etc., etc. Very, very boomer-esque. And basically her argument is like, from what I'm gathering, is narcissism's kind of like a shield to not be vulnerable, because we're very, as a society, as a Western society, we're very against vulnerability in a lot of facets.
Yeah.
In relationships, whether it be romantic, whether it be parental, whether it be like at your job, with friends, whatever. So basically the first couple chapters, she's just kind of like defining what it is, and then she gets into shame and like how shame is interlaced with vulnerability. And to get to be vulnerable, you have to like battle with shame and how you like handle that sort of feeling. So I got some questions
Okay.
that we're gonna have a very long discussion over.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one, Rene, when you hear the word vulnerable or vulnerability, what do you think of? What comes top of the mind?
Like for myself or just in general?
Just in general.
Being able to let your guard down in a situation either unfamiliar to yourself or familiar to yourself. I guess in both situations, but mainly being able to, let down your guard and pretty much express whatever you need to express, whether it be an action, whether it be a feeling, a conversation, or an idea.
Okay. Probably, but same answer, more or less, for me. Who do you think of? Like when you think vulnerable, who do you when you think of that word? Who's like the first couple people that pop into your mind, if
Like
anybody?
like actual people.
I mean, you don't have to give them a name if you don't want to.
Vulnerable people. I don't know. I don't really have an idea of someone who's or anyone that I know that's in a sense vulnerable. I guess a child. They don't know any better yet.
So true. So true. Um. Okay, we'll come back. We'll come back to that part of the question.
All right.
What allows you to be most vulnerable? Or do you think you're allowed to be vulnerable at all?
No, because I'm a man.
So true. So true. That is what the book be saying. But like actually,
Huh?
that's actually how you feel.
Yeah. No, that's just saying. No, I'm vulnerable, but I'm vulnerable when I'm comfortable with someone enough to, or I feel like they're not going to use it against me.
Right. So there's a level of trust that you need
Yes.
with the other person. Do you think that like how do you build that trust? Do you think it's more like is it like a time commitment? Is it more like oh, you told me something personal, so I'll tell you something personal? Is it more like
I feel like it's a time thing and also a situation thing. You know, you relate more with someone who's been in a situation particular to yours or in line of what you've been through. I feel like that's what really helps out along with time.
okay, okay, so true. I agree, kind of. I don't know. See, my issue and what let me make sure I'm not jumping the gun. No, I'm kind of jumping the gun. Okay, well, okay, yeah, I'll make my point in a couple questions.
Okay.
Do you think there are any actions that you take either consciously or subconsciously, um, that keep you from being vulnerable? So, like, do you have any like shielding mechanisms that you do?
Humor,
So true.
and I talk shit, and
Mm.
I don't take anything seriously. Tuna.
I realize I've done a lot of those same things, and I've been wondering where I got it from, and I think maybe I feel like maybe it was your fault. Uh, okay. Do you think you do all those like consciously or subconsciously?
I feel like it's a half and half. Like, yes, I do it consciously, and also not, because that's the kind of people I grew up around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um. Okay. Final question that I wrote down. What emotions do you use to take place of vulnerability?
Mm, anger.
So you're angry instead of vulnerable.
To an extent.
Would you apply that to all uh,
No.
relationships you have, or do you think that's specific to a certain type?
Okay, I guess I wouldn't say angry. I don't know. I don't have an emotion really associated with vulnerability.
So when you feel like uncomfortable, like I don't know, let's say you're getting a little too deep into whatever you're thinking. You don't have like a oh, let's like, pretend like let's get out of it real quick outside of like humor because I don't really think that's an emotion.
Uh, I guess I wouldn't be angry. It would just be upset. I guess. Not.
Sad.
Yeah, not really like angry, but more like not really angry or mad, but more like just upset. I don't know. That's like the less of the three.
Yeah, I guess. And for me, they're all very interchangeable. Um, okay. Interesting. Very interesting. You're part of the problem.
Let's go. Means I'm a part of something.
um, no, that's kind of all. Well, I don't know. Let me find this. Let me give you, because she researches both men and women, although it took her a while to get to the men part because, you know, men are complicated.
Sometimes.
Let me try to find. Basically, she came up with like a list of. I forget exactly how she described it, but it was like things that affect shame or that you consider like being vulnerable. But yeah, like a lot of basically the gist of it was a lot of what men said was like putting up a front and like replacing any sense of like uncomfortableness. I don't know if that's a word. Uncomfortability. I don't know. Whatever. Replacing that with like anger.
Oh shit. Let's go.
And resentment. And yeah, and women do a similar thing, but it's more centered around like perceived physical inadequacy. Like they don't look the way that they wish they did. Which is very, very interesting. Very, I don't know, I think that's like pretty apparent with most women I talk to anyways. When we have these very deep conversations about shame. Okay. So it was attributes associated with masculinity. So we have winning, emotional control, risk-taking, violence, dominance, playboy, self-reliance, primacy of work, power over women, disdain for homosexuality, and pursuit of status. Which is really interesting to me because like I don't know where exactly she did her research, but she lives or is from Texas. So I feel like if she did her research there, a lot of those attributes are more associated with like the South, maybe. Because I don't know, because like I look through some of these and I'm like, honestly, all of them make sense to me, except disdain for homosexuality. That one's kind of like that one's a little out of nowhere for a liberal arts major like myself, but yeah, I thought it's really interesting, but yeah, so I've been reading the book, been doing a lot of thinking.
Yeah.
And I've come up with some issues some things that I do that are very problematic, and we're just gonna talk about it until the show's over.
All right.
Unless you have something you want to talk about at the end.
No. Speak your truth.
But okay, so for a long time, I think what I've done personally, and I think what a lot of other people do, a lot of guys, a lot of girls can like fall into the same trap, is confusing vulnerability, or like not confusing vulnerability, but confusing different emotions and speaking about them as like being vulnerable. So like for me, when I'm depressed, I find it very easy to say that. Like I have no issue with making that apparent, at least to like the people that I trust, and apparently the podcast. I don't have a problem with like saying it, and honestly even like going further than that and like saying it in a way where it's like there's like shock value added to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think I've kind of, for a very long time, I've conflated that idea with like, oh, I'm being vulnerable. Like me just saying that I'm depressed to somebody that I care about is like, that's helping me. Like that's that's as good as it gets for me. Which I've now come to realize it's kind of just been like a coping mechanism to not get into like the real issues that I'm dealing with. Because it's not, well, yeah, like, you know me. I'm very like, I'm chill one day and then the next day I'm not so chill, or I'm chill for like 10 minutes and then another 10 minutes pass by and I'm fucking losing my mind for one reason or another. And I feel like a lot of that is because I'm not addressing the particular issue that is causing me to feel this way. Instead, I'm like, oh, well, I'm just depressed. Like we don't need to dig into that any further. Like we're all on the same page. We all know that I feel that way. I could go talk to somebody and get help if I want. And then I kind of just leave it there. But like that's not good, because obviously the issue isn't that I'm depressed. The issue is that, well, it's whatever it is in that moment. But I think a lot of it can kind of stem from like I'm not expressing my feelings in the way that I want to. Like I feel like I have to kind of maneuver around them in a way because I don't know how other people are gonna take it. Because at least with like I'm depressed, like everybody is, everybody could like laugh at that and be like, oh, good one, haha. But if I say like I feel really insecure, like and then like if I go even further into that and I'm like, if I'm talking to one person in particular and I'm like, the way that you did that or whatever, like I don't like that, that's kind of the reason that I feel this way. Like that's really hard to do for me personally. I'm not good at confronting the deeper issue, but I'm really good at like sorting all of my problems, just like, oh, depression. Oh, I'm just like happy. I'm ecstatic. I'm sad, whatever. So I'm good at sorting them, but I'm not good at like actually taking the time to confront them with the person that maybe not causing them, but like isn't helping them, I guess. You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to do, granted, I just like got related to the book like 2 days ago, so who knows? Maybe I'll be back to my old ways in like a week. But ideally, personally, I really want to start like. Okay, I'll come back to that. Let me tell you, like, let me give you another, I guess, example.
Okay.
So like, fuck. Do I want to give this example? Do I want to be this vulnerable? I don't know. I'll like word around it to be a little weird about it, but okay, yeah, so I've been talking to a couple other friends back home that may or may not listen to the podcast. I don't know. I think I know one of them does. I don't know about the other one. Um, but I've been telling them about some of the emotions and some of the associated things that I've been dealing with the past couple weeks. And a lot of the time when I'm talking to them, when I bring stuff up like that, I know what I want to hear. Like I'm telling them all of this in hopes that they give me guidance to the same answer that I already found. But the issue is that they don't know like all the details. Like I could tell them like as much as I feel, but they don't know about the whole situation. You know, they don't know like why I'm thinking this. They don't know how I got here. They don't know like what's reinforcing these thoughts exactly. So so I get kind of annoyed because they'll give me an answer where I'm like, this doesn't like, I get where you're coming from, but everything you just said does not line up with like how I feel. And like a lot of that could just be attributed to like, oh, well, Brandon, maybe you're just like, you're overthinking it too much. Like you've kind of, you know, you're kind of like creating this little world for yourself. I don't know if that's good. But I think a lot of like what their solutions are is like, hey, don't get so emotional about it. Like don't invest so much time into it. Which I don't like because I like being emotional because it's like my whole thing. I've made it a very clear, like, I made it a very clear point a few years ago that like I'm just an emotional person now because in high school I wasn't at all. Like after all my surgeries and stuff, I was like, okay, we can't be emotional anymore.
Yeah.
We have to, you know, I got all my emotions out then. Now we're just, you know, straight lining until death. But now I'm kind of like, that's really fucking stupid. I don't want to do that. Like I want to be able to express how I feel in a way that's like conducive to me. And if like other people don't get that, or if I get hurt in the process, then it's kind of like, okay, well, at least I was still true to like who I wanted to be as a person. You know what I mean? And I think that kind of whole idea has been really illuminated by this book, because now I'm kind of like, you know, the third chapter of it's all like, you know, shame sucks, but you have two options when dealing with shame. You can either do what I think I do all the time and be a perfectionist and don't take any sort of like real risks, play everything pretty safe, but at least like you're getting this like certain level of praise that makes you feel good in the moment. Or there's like another path where you don't do anything. You don't test anything out. You know, somebody said that your project or your writing or whatever sucked one time, and now you're like, okay, well now I'm just not gonna fucking try anymore. Or you could do the third thing, which is like, don't tie your self-image to your work. Instead, like, you know, still take pride in it, still like appreciate the effort and the time that you're putting into it, but don't misconstrue that effort into like your self-worth. And that's kind of like the whole dealing with shame thing. Which, I don't know, personally that sounds like kind of hard to me. Like, I don't know, I'm very perfectionist oriented most of the time, but then again, like this quarter I've kind of been like taking a bit of a step back. Like I'm still doing well in school, but I'm not like, you know, I skipped a day of class. That felt pretty fucking good. I didn't fucking go to, I mean, I was sick, so like I wasn't, you know, I wasn't having the time of my life or anything, but I didn't feel the need to go. I felt like I could just, sit in bed, relax, catch up on everything later, and not really, give myself a fucking headache about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. Ever since I started reading the book, I was like, okay, it's better for me to express how I feel, regardless of how other people take it or how other people think I should like be perceived. Yeah, just like getting how I feel out into the open is more important than trying to like adhere to this idea of what I should be in terms of like, oh, you shouldn't be like, don't be so emotional, like don't get so invested, like don't worry about it so much or whatever. But I feel like a lot of like my worry comes from like because I'm not expressing myself in the way that I want.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been a lot of my thinking. That's been a lot of my I don't know, kind of like my last day.
That's a lot. That is a lot.
So true. But yeah, I don't know. Kind of just grappling with that. I feel like if there was ever a good time to like kind of sit down and have that internal conversation about like relationships and feelings and how you perceive yourself and how you want to be perceived, I feel like it's good to have that like in your early 20s, so you're not thinking about it when you're like 60, like most people do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's kind of like what I'm most concerned about is like if I bottle all this up now and I find a really good way to keep it all together within me, then like I'm never gonna talk about my emotions, and I feel like that's gonna, I think the effort that I've made in the last like 12 hours to like express how I feel more has done more to help me than like bottling up my emotions for like 40 years could ever do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, basically, end of story, moral of the story. I'm gonna start crying during the podcast.
I haven't cried yet, so.
Okay. It's not a race. Yeah, that's my whole thing. I don't think I have anything more to add yet. I don't know. Maybe once I finish the book,
Yeah.
maybe
for
we'll
sure.
we'll get more into it. Because now there's a whole chapter about the vulnerability armory, and I don't know what the fuck that's about. I think it's just like
vulnerability as an AR-15.
Did you see the fucking
Texas
Twitter
thing?
video?
Oh, I know.
The Twitter video of the child with the children ready AR-15. That's like
No, the fuck?
3/4 the size of a regular AR-15.
No.
And it's like marketed towards kids. It's kind of crazy. You should think about investing.
Maybe I should. That's a good.
That way you could finally like get a gun that you could hold. You know what I mean?
So, if we're gonna get into this kind of topic, I have a question. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Would you say that you
Am
had?
I gay?
No. Would you say you like cock? Would you say, like you said when you were talking that, you had to get all the, basically you felt like you got all your emotion out when you were going through like all your surgeries and like that part of your life?
Mm.
Would you say that you had to, in your sense of other people, you had to grow up faster than everyone else at that particular point or after that?
Yeah, I think all of my health concerns and all of the drama associated with it really like Well, I don't. It's really weird because it did like two different things. It like kind of, it felt like it alienated me from a lot of people, from a lot of my friends, because I was homeschooled for a minute, so like it was kind of obviously gonna do that, and then like also my family, because part of me was like kind of resentful for everything. Um, but then also it kind of like, by doing that, it gave me a lot of time to like be with myself, um, and like think things through, not always in a positive way. So I think that's kind of like where a lot of my overthinking comes from, is like I just had so much time um, by myself. But yeah, I think overall, yeah, it pushed me away from like a lot of my friendships. I didn't really get to have like the fuck, what was it? It was like the 14 to 16. Like I kind of just lost all of those years. Which really sucks because like it always happens like at the end of school years, or like transitional periods from like middle to high school. That's when I like kind of break out of my shell, because I feel like there's nothing to lose at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like you're probably not gonna, you may or may not see these people ever again. So like even fucking this school year, I waited until the third quarter, like, or the final quarter, to really like get to know people. Um, and so I did that in the 8th grade too. So like I had started making friendships, and then I kind of like got pulled away from all that.
Mm-hmm.
Or started making new friendships. Like I had friends at the time, but I started meeting more people that I could have got to know better in high school had I been there the whole time. But that obviously did not happen in that way.
Yeah.
So long story short, yes, it did contribute. And it is probably a reason why I feel, because like even now, like I still feel like I'm at death's door, you know what I mean? Like I'm ready to clock out a little bit. Like I feel so much older than a lot of my peers, especially like the 18 and 19-year-olds that are like obviously freshmen. Like, oh my god, man, the ones that were fucking barking and meowing in the courtyard that I told you about a few episodes ago, like I feel no connection with them at all. And now I get why people, like, older people don't want to come back to college, because like that's fucking embarrassing. Like those are your peers.
That's a good your project with, bro.
Yeah. And I don't feel like I associate with like that side of college even.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm grateful because like the people that I met are not, I mean, they're all like full grown adults, mentally. So like I don't have to think about that all the time. And then the friend that visits me pretty often, same kind of deal with her. So like I don't know, it's gotten better. I feel a little more like I'm with my peers in some sense. But yeah, like that was definitely a big problem going back to high school. In my junior and senior year, I just felt very disconnected from a lot of people. And then I started feeling connected at the very end, and then yeah, you know how it goes.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Thank you. I have some more.
You have any more?
Nope. Huh. And I guess why? What's the point of reading the book for class? Like, what is it? What are they leading up to?
Low key, I have no fucking idea. I thought it was like, because we got 2 books for the class. I thought one of them, or I thought this book that I'm reading now was supposed to be for like this book report, or book review rather, that we're doing at the end of the class for like the final, but it's not. It's for the other book that we got. So I don't know. I'm kind of just I'm just reading it for fun, I guess.
She's, your teacher just fucking threw a wild card in there just to fuck you guys up for the end of the year.
Yeah, she kind of like made me spend $17 and is now saying, you know what, don't worry about it.
No, don't do that to yourselves. That's
Yeah, there's a lot to work through in that book. I don't want you guys to go through the emotional, hurdles.
yeah.
But it's too late. I'm already there. I'm already crying.
Huh.
There's tears on every page.
That's my bookmark. Whatever just dried. I haven't read yet. Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's supposed to be for something maybe, but if not, then at least it was a good book to read. I'm enjoying it.
Surprisingly, these are the kind of talks I have with my mom.
Really, I can
Yeah.
never. I don't know. I find it very hard having this conversation with anybody, because like I said, I like putting up the shield of like making fun of myself or like just
Yeah.
categorizing it into something. So even with like people that, I care for like so deeply and have like,
Mhm.
you know, so much admiration for and all that, I still find it very hard to like have this conversation. But even then, like you have to, I think there's another issue where like you have to talk with somebody that has like, that's like willing to have the conversation, you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
That's like willing to sit down and like kind of work with you.
Mhm.
Because like I said, I could bring up this stuff, but if I'm not feeling that kind of like connection where we're, I'm able to say what I want to say and like get some response back that's like meaningful or understanding, it's like, I don't know, it kind of feels like a waste of time.
Yeah, no, yeah. Whenever when I would drive to like work and like I would have to take like mom with me, this is the kind of like talks we'll have. Well, it's usually about like my upbringing and like that how I had to grow up kind of fast compared to like my sisters and how in our culture in our social circles on the reservation and just in general like in our giant families that me and my sisters have always been seen as the weak ones because we weren't put through certain situations that other kids were put through because our parents
Mm.
our parents anyway never had like any like real issues with the relationship that at least that we didn't see. They never showed us that side.
Mm.
And like also like just I guess now how like people don't their parent people's usual parenting is I'm the boss, you're the kid,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and like but like with our parents it's not really like that. Like we're all comfortable enough just to sit down and talk to them like normal people, I guess.
Right.
Like I tell my mom everything, like everything. I should tell my parents everything,
Mm.
whether it be illegal or not. I tell them because it's funny. um, and yeah, and like I said, everyone always saw us as weak because we don't get put into those kind of situations, and also it like reflects on how I have like my relationship with like romantic relationships
Mm.
because I never grew up around over and affectionate couples. So I don't
Mm.
really like affection. Like I've never seen my parents like show like crazy affection for each other, but they love each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I don't know. We're always talking about stuff like that, and it always gets interesting, especially because my mom's a psychology graduate and like specializes in like DV and domestic violence and stuff. So like we always get into conversations like that. So it's always interesting to have these kind of conversations.
You talk to your mom about domestic violence?
No. I tell her how to get away with it.
um yeah, I don't know. See, like I used to be a lot more open with my parents. I don't know what happened, bro. Over like the last few years, I like got real fucked up. I don't know. I don't know where it went all wrong with me emotionally.
Yeah.
I think, but yeah, like I don't.
And yeah, and like unfortunately, I had a lot of resentment towards my parents for a little bit because I had to grow up a certain way, but my sisters didn't. And like as soon
Mm.
as they're a lot different from my sisters. my sisters and I, but like they were given opportunities for like therapy and stuff, but I wasn't. Like right away, like they've never offered like that kind of thing for me, or they, have like they have family therapy sessions, but like I'm not there. So like there's a lot of times I'm just like, okay, I have to deal with everything I've gone through by myself a lot of the times, and not like the way I feel like it should be done. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, we can call this like the emotional month, and we could just talk about like
Why we're all
or the
fucked
vulnerability month.
up. Why we the way we are. Oh yeah.
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 No, I think I resented my parents for a while too, but that was it wasn't more about like opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
It was more like there's no way I can articulate how I'm feeling health wise or mentally wise without like I don't know, I couldn't articulate that in a healthy way, and I don't think they were always ready to listen in a way that would have like promoted conversation. And then like I don't know, ever since then I've found it really difficult to like find a way to do that again. And I don't know, I think there's like another part of it too where it's like, and this is probably a lot more selfish on my end, but there's like, I'm a pretty closed off person at home with my family unless it's like schoolwork. So like anything else, whether it's like, oh, like I'm talking to this girl and I really like her, or it's like, oh, I'm really interested in this, I'm gonna go out and do this or that, I'm gonna go hang out with this friend or whatever. Every time I like kind of put like a little piece out there, they'll like they'll take all of it like immediately because I don't do that.
Yeah.
So like I only give them that little piece of information and kind of like that's enough for me, like that's my vulnerability for that moment. And I don't want to get into it. I just want to like just throw it out there real quick, and then I don't know, maybe we could talk about it in like a few days or something.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's more of like I don't know. I think it's a both me and my parents' issue, but I think I'm not making it any better by like only doing it at those times. And I think my sister does a lot of the same things too. Which isn't great, but then again, she likes to just argue all the time for just for the sake of it. So I can't really speak on her thoughts. But yeah. So it's really cool that you have like that kind of connection with your parents.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Something that I think a lot of people take for granted.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I know. So that's this week's By the Way podcast.
Yeah, we could call it there. I did want to bring up some things.
Part 2? Yeah.
That and like other things.
Oh, let's go. Yeah.
I've been.
You know what? You have to send me whatever you're gonna talk about, because then I wasn't prepared for this. And then the next.
I know. I didn't want to prepare you for this. That was my whole. Like when I texted you, I was like, I know what we're gonna talk about. I did that on purpose.
Fuck. All right. Well, I guess I gotta think of the rim of that now for the next one. So we call like a deer in the fucking headlights.
Yeah, I don't know, dude, because like a lot of it's like logistic stuff. Do we want to talk about this in the episode or not really?
I don't know. Can. We got 5 minutes left.
So true. We do have 5 minutes left. Fuck. We should do this live.
Bet. We're gonna have like one viewer.
Yeah, we could have one viewer in the chat say, "Can you guys talk about this?
Can you guys talk about
my mom?" I don't know. Is there anything I could be vulnerable about right now? How do you feel about... Nah, I don't know. I'm out. Let's just call it there.
All right. Well, that was this week's the By the Way podcast, guys. Thanks for listening. Get ready for next week's episodes. I think we're gonna continue this theme. So, thanks, guys. Have a good day. Bye.
Okay, bye.